Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We will be getting started in just about a minute or so, but while we wait for some more folks to join in, there are a couple of things that I just want to go over. So the first thing is this webinar is going to be recorded, so if you have to hop off at any point in time, you can, and you'll still have access to that recording at the end of the presentation that will be sent up in a follow-up email. Additionally, if you have any questions at any point throughout this webinar, feel free to let me know. There is a question box and you can drop in your questions there and I'll be able to get to those at the end of the presentation. Now, the title of this webinar is Learn All About Your SAT and ACT Resources. And of that, we have many. We're going to be going over the resources that we have in partnership with the Princeton Review, some of our live tutoring options, as well as some of our static resources that we have available for you. So in order to go ahead and get started, you're going to have to access the tutor.com program, which is going to be very simple. You either are going to go to your local library's website, or you're going to head to scdiscus.org, and that will bring you to this page. Once you're here, there is a link for tutor.com featured here as a featured resource. You just click access tutor.com, and that will bring you into the tutor.com platform. Now, as you can see, I'm on the home page. There are a couple of fun little options. There's the take a tour option in case you're curious about what all of these different features do. But as you can see in this top navigation bar, Connect with a Tutor Now is bolded while everything else is grayed out. There's a reason for that. In order to access a lot of these other resources, you're going to need to create a free account. And it's super simple to do that. All you do is go to create a free account up in the top right corner, and you enter in your information, your first name, your email address, your password, and then your date of birth. The date of birth is going to be very important. And while a lot of people who are preparing for the SAT and ACT won't need to worry about this as much, if you show that your date of birth is makes you 13 years or younger, you're going to have a restricted account because we are COPA compliant and we take young students' privacy very seriously. So if that is you, if you know anybody who is preparing for the SAT or ACTs, while they are 13 years or younger, I highly recommend having their parents create their account for them. Otherwise, like I said, you just enter in all the information and hit create an account. Now, I already have one, so I'll go ahead and just log in. And now that I'm logged in, as you can see, everything in the top navigation bar is bolded. And this is going to be important because the main feature that you're going to utilize when preparing for the SAT and the ACT are our SAT and ACT Essentials resources that are provided again through our partnership with the Princeton Review. This is something that normally will cost a couple $100s if students want to buy this on their own. So it's a really great equalizing force so that everybody has access to quality resources when preparing for these tests. And as you can see, you can choose the SAT or the ACT. I'm going to go ahead and go with the SAT. That'll bring me over into our portal, which once it loads, you'll see we have some information on this home page. As I scroll down, there are college prep resources. So you can download a college admissions insiders, SAT insiders. And what that's going to do is download this kind of large booklet with different resources about, what to do for campus visits, guidelines for parents or students, places to visit, all this kind of information that can be really helpful for anyone who's applying to college. This is going to be available for them within the SAT and ACT Essentials. Additionally, if you go under testing resources, we have a timer as self-proctor so that if you're trying to get used to those time constraints, you're able to do that there. And then we have a test day checklist, and this will just be a nice little reminder for anybody who's going to the test on that test day of what to bring and what to make sure that you have with you. Now, the main thing on this page is going to be your target score. You're able to actually put in a target score that you're trying to reach. So let's say I was trying to get a 400 on the math and a 600 on the reading and writing. I can hit done. And that will then give me this little graph that shows me the 400, what my target is, and what my latest test score is. So again, it's just going to be a very easy thing that I can use to visualize where I am in that process. If you click to practice tests, this is where you're going to find, well, all of those practice tests. And it's super simple to do. All you have to do is click start, and you'll be able to download a PDF version of the exam. You can, again, access those online proctors. So if you wanted to get timed normally, like you are or like you would be for that test, you can do that. Or you can have extra time if you're just trying to get used to the idea that you're going to be timed for these tests. And then you can launch the bubble. And once you do this, it'll take a second to load. My internet is rather slow today, but it will bring an online bubble sheet for you that you will then just kind of flip back and forth from the practice test, which you can view here. This is one of those tests. It's full length practice test. And as you start doing the problems, you'll start switching back and forth, start labeling all the different questions, so on and so forth. Now, I'm not going to have to do all of this just because there are a lot of questions here, but we have one for every different section of the test itself. So again, I can just go through all of these. And once I'm done, I can score my test. And it will tell you what your score is for each of the different sections, your overall score. And then it will show you all of the different questions, what you got incorrect, what you got correct, and what you've left blank. Now, this is going to be really helpful because not only do we have it separated by section, so all of the reading and then the writing questions, but we also have it done by category. So this way you can kind of dive into all of the different topics within reading and see what you did well on, what you got incorrect, and what you might need to focus on. So I can see for here, citing textual evidence is not my strong suit. So I can click, I can review the answers, see what the correct answer is, how we got there, and it will tell me what concepts are being used for this specific question. As you scroll down, again, we have this for all of these, and then we have this cool feature where we show the areas of strength and then the areas of focus. The areas of strength basically just means these are the things that you're good at and you don't need to worry about them as much, whereas the areas of focus are the topics or subjects that you were struggling in the most. And if you click this, you'll have access, again, once this loads, to a quiz as well as a video lesson. So I can go ahead and actually view this lesson. It's a short couple minute long video, which I can just go through, and they kind of talk about the problems and answer some general questions that people may have. And then once I finish this, I can hit continue, and then I'll be able to access that practice quiz once that loads. So again, I can just start this quiz, and just like that practice test that I took for the SAT and ACT, it's the same sort of format. You just go through and you start answering the questions. And again, I can hit end, score my drill, and see what I got correct, what I got incorrect, and what the explanation is. So again, it will kind of deep dive into all of those different questions for you to try to explain things. Now, additionally, let's say you wanted to go over more than just those resources. If I get rid of this and I scroll up to the top, we have coursework. So as I showed you, we have all of those different topics that we're testing you on, and we're letting you know if you're struggling on them or not. You can actually find a list of all of those within the coursework. So again, once things load up, you'll be able to scroll through and watch videos and take practice drills for all of these different topics. And again, there are a ton of different resources available for you within this module. So again, you can kind of take all of these different quizzes and watch all of these different videos. Now, if I go back to the practice test, a neat little thing that is available is your progress tracking. Now, as you start to take more and more tests, you'll be able to see how your scores are improving over time or how they're falling behind. You'll even be able to see against the overall your aim. So for example, I was looking to get a 1000 on this test. As I'm taking these tests, I can see if I'm getting closer to that test score or if I'm falling further and further behind. Now, additionally, if I want to, I can view the practice tests and all the different questions here as well. And I can look through all the previous tests that I've done and see what I might be struggling on. And again, I can view all of those different questions. Now, let's say I was still struggling with question 16. I went into the practice test. I can copy and paste this. And if I'm still struggling and I don't really know how to get that answer, that's actually where you can go back into the tutor.com learning suite and head over to connect with a tutor now. We have SAT and ACT tutors available for you. So again, let's say I'm struggling on a particular math problem in the SAT. I can choose the topic for SAT test prep, go to SAT test prep math algebra, select my grade level, and enter in my question. So again, I can just copy and paste my question in here. I can even upload this file, this PDF, as a file over here so that the tutor has access to all those different resources. And then I can connect with the tutor and work on that in the classroom. So if there's still things that you're struggling on, you're not fully understanding when in the test module, you can always bring that back into the tutor.com platform and work with one of our tutors. Now, before I head over to some of the other resources that we have outside of this SAT and ACT Essentials, I wanted to highlight our resources page. So once this loads up, these are going to be things that can be really helpful as you prepare for the tests and what comes after the tests. So you can get some information about what a good SAT and ACT score is, how to calculate your GPA, and some things about preparing for college, like the top 10 majors currently, how to choose the best college major for you, and even information about financial aid. So this is going to be a great extra resource as you're preparing for the SAT and ACT and beyond. Now, heading back here, I also wanted to highlight if you're taking the ACT, for example, we have ACT test prep available as well. You'll just be able to connect with a tutor for any of these English, math, or science topics that will be covered during the SAT or the ACT. And then the last main feature that I wanted to go over is if we scroll down to the Skill Center resource library. Now, again, we've scoured the web, basically provided a database filled with different resources that we think would be helpful. And if you go in here and choose standardized test preparation, college entrance exams, we have different resources for the ACT, the PSAT, and the SAT as well. So let's go ahead and hop into the SAT. We have 21 different websites, 22 different videos, sample tests, and flashcards, all of which we've vetted and are able for you to download or utilize. And actually within the videos, we link out to a bunch of the Princeton review resources for you to review. So if you wanted to go over some math, SAT, and ACT essentials, you'll be able to do that within here, and you'll be able to watch all of these different videos. Now, those are the main features when accessing the SAT and ACT resources through the tutor.com program. Again, the number one resource is going to be found under other tools, and it's the prep for the SAT and ACT. And as you scroll down, again, it has 10 full-length practice tests, detailed score reports, video lessons, and practice drills, all of which will be available for you 24/7 whenever it is that you need. You can always take the different questions from the practice tests that you're still not understanding and you're struggling with and connect with one of our tutors, and they'll be able to walk you through that problem, explain things, and make sure you're understanding the different concepts that you're expected to understand for those tests. And then lastly, underneath the Connect with a Tutor Now page, under Study Test Prep Resources, this is where you're going to have access to a bunch of Princeton Review videos, as well as different practice tests, flashcards, and study guides throughout the web that we have found and we've saved for you to utilize. Now, if there are any questions, now would be the time to ask, and I'd be happy to answer any specific questions, go over things that I might have said earlier. Just let me know, and I'd be happy to do that. While we are waiting for some questions to come in, I am going to put in the chat a survey monkey that I'd love for you guys to answer. It's provided by SC Discus, so it just is some more information for them. So I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat for you to access. This survey monkey will also be included in the follow-up email that will also include a recording of today's session. All right, so yeah, one person asked if you need to have an account in order to access these different resources. So to access some of them, you do. To connect with a live tutor, let's say you have your own practice questions that you're going over, you can do that without creating an account. You can do that completely anonymously. Same thing with accessing the Skill Center Resource Library and those test prep videos that I showed off. You can do that without creating an account. However, the SAT and ACT Essentials found over here, again, under the Other Tools tab, you do need to create an account just so that we can save all of your tests and your scores and all of that information for you. Creating an account is super simple. I'll go ahead again and sign out. All you have to do is click Create an Account up here, and you enter in your first name, your email address, your password, and your date of birth. And again, if you are 13 years or younger, we recommend that your parents create an account for you, just because if you show that you are 13 years or younger when entering in your date of birth, you will have a restricted account because we are COPA compliant and we take the privacy of students very seriously. But again, once you fill out all of this information, you'll then have access to the SAT and ACT Essentials. And again, to kind of just show what that looks like right now, since I'm accessing as a guest, the Connect with a Tutor Now page that is bolded, everything else is grayed out. If I were to sign in, as you can see, everything is now bolded and I'd be able to access those SAT and ACT Essentials. All right. I don't think there are any other questions. Again, in the chat is a survey monkey for you to fill out. I will include that in the follow-up email, as well as a recording. I hope you found some of this information helpful. And if you have any questions or follow-up questions, feel free to respond to that follow-up email and I'd be happy to help. But thanks so much for joining and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Oh, actually, we do have another question that came in. Can you show them how to access their account information? And that includes tests that they may have already began. Yeah, so that's a fantastic question. In order to do that, again, let's head over to the SAT and ACT Essentials. And once I load in, I'll go over to the Practice Tests tab up top here. And all of the tests that you take, whether you finish them or you stop them halfway through, will get saved and you will be able to see them here. Now, if I didn't finish a test, I would be able to continue it here. I can also just retake this test again to see if I might do a little bit better this time. But this is where you're going to find all of your scores and previous test results from your practice tests. Additionally, if I went over to the coursework and I took some more of those course practice quizzes that kind of focused in on specific topics within the test, I'll be able to see all of those scores here. And again, once this loads, once I start answering and watching these videos and doing these quizzes, it will start checking off which ones I've done. So you'll be able to see a green check mark right over here for the videos and practice drills that I've completed. Now, if we're going back here, and let's say you connected with a tutor to answer one of those practice questions that you didn't fully understand, and you wanted to work with someone for that, once you finish that session, if you go to my account, the drop down from my account, and go to my sessions over here, this will have a list of all of your previous sessions that you've had. It gets saved once you do create that account. So you'll be able to go back, view them, see what your notes were. If you had an audio session where you were talking back and forth with the tutor, you'll be able to listen to all of that as well. I hope that answered your question. And if there are any other questions, feel free to drop those in. I'll keep the floor open for a couple of minutes. All right. It doesn't look like there are any others coming in. So again, thanks everybody for joining. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and I hope you found some of these resources helpful. All right, bye.